Deep inside the Arctic Circle, more than 200 miles north of anywhere, lies a city forged in extremity. This is Norilsk, Russia, one of the coldest, most polluted and most isolated cities on Earth. For 2 months every winter, the sun never rises. This period, known as the polar night, plunges the city of over 170,000 into a perpetual twilight, where temperatures can plummet to -60 degrees Fahrenheit. The city's history is as dark as its winters. It was founded in the 1930s as a gulag, a prison camp where tens of thousands of prisoners were forced to build the massive mining and metallurgical complex that defines Norilsk to this day. That complex made Norilsk the world's largest producer of nickel and palladium, but it came at a staggering environmental cost. The smelters release millions of tons of sulfur dioxide into the air annually, creating severe acid rain and turning the snow black. The city is officially closed to foreigners, a remote outpost built on permafrost and suffering. Yet within this harsh reality, life goes on. People adapt, find community and endure, living out their lives in one of the most challenging urban environments on the planet. The story of Norilsk is inseparable from the story of the Gulag. In 1935, the Soviet leadership established the Norilsk Corrective Labor Camp, or Norilag, one of the most brutal camps in the entire Gulag archipelago. Its purpose was to exploit the region's immense deposits of nickel, copper and cobalt using the cheapest labor imaginable, prisoners. Over the next 2 decades, more than 400,000 prisoners were sent to Norilsk. They were political dissidents, common criminals and prisoners of war, forced into slave labor under unimaginable conditions. In the crushing cold of the Arctic, they built the mines, the smelters, and the city itself with their bare hands. Tens of thousands perished from starvation, frostbite, exhaustion, and executions. But the spirit of resistance was not entirely broken. In the summer of 1953, following Stalin's death, the prisoners of Norilag staged one of the largest and longest-lasting uprisings in the history of the Gulag. For over 2 months, they organized non-violent strikes, demanding better conditions and a review of their cases. The rebellion was ultimately crushed by the military. Although the Norilag camp was officially closed in 1956, its dark legacy endures. The modern city of Norilsk, with its vast industrial complex, stands today as a monument built on the suffering and sacrifice of the hundreds of thousands who were imprisoned there. Norilsk began not as a city, but as a sentence. In the 1930s, this was nothing but frozen wasteland, until the Soviet Gulag brought tens of thousands of prisoners to tear minerals from the permafrost. They built the mines and factories with their lives, laying a foundation of suffering in the Siberian Arctic. This was Norilsk, a city born of state terror. After Stalin's death, the camps closed, but the city remained. A new chapter began. Moscow planners sought to erase the Gulag's memory, transforming Norilsk into a model Soviet Arctic city. The wooden barracks were torn down, replaced by concrete apartment blocks painted in bright colors to fight the gloom of the polar night, all built on stilts, driven deep into the frozen ground. Generations came and went. The Soviet Union fell, but Norilsk and its massive nickel industry endured, now a hub of capitalism in the far north. Today, life continues in one of the world's most extreme environments. The bright facades of the buildings fade under layers of industrial soot, a constant reminder of the factories that give the city its purpose. Norilsk is a city of profound contradictions, a place of opportunity for some, a toxic prison for others, forever haunted by the ghosts of the Gulag upon whose foundations it is built. High in the Peruvian Andes at over 5,100 meters lies a place closer to the stars than any other city on Earth. This is La Rinconada. It is not a city of peaceful contemplation, but one of brutal survival. It is the highest human settlement in the world, and it exists for one reason: gold. Tens of thousands of people have been drawn here by the promise of fortune, building a lawless boomtown on a glacier. Life is a daily struggle against the elements. There is no running water, no sanitation, and the air is thin and freezing. The ground and water are poisoned with mercury, a toxic legacy of the crude mining process. The miners work under a cruel system known as cachorreo. For 30 days, they work for free. On the last day, they are allowed to carry home a single sack of ore, gambling that it contains enough gold to feed their families. It is a lottery of desperation. La Rinconada is a city of contradictions. It sits on a mountain of gold, yet its people live in extreme poverty. It is a place of incredible beauty and unimaginable squalor, where the dream of wealth is paid for with health, dignity, and the environment itself. It is a raw, brutal look at the human cost of gold. In La Rinconada, the highest city on Earth, the price of gold is not measured in money but in human lives and a poisoned planet. Here, the pursuit of fortune has created an environmental catastrophe. The ground itself is toxic, the water is a chemical slurry, and the very air is a threat. The biggest killer is mercury. Miners use it to separate gold from ore, handling the potent neurotoxin with bare hands. They then burn the mercury amalgam in the open, releasing clouds of poisonous vapor that settle over the entire city and are inhaled by everyone, men, women, and children. The health consequences are devastating. Mercury attacks the nervous system, causing uncontrollable tremors, memory loss, and kidney failure. The air, thin with altitude, is thick with silica dust from the mines, leading to incurable lung diseases. With no sanitation system, human waste and toxic runoff contaminate the ice that serves as the only source of water, spreading disease. This city above the clouds has become a sacrifice zone. It is a place where the earth is being systematically poisoned for the metal it holds, and its people are the first victims. For every ounce of gold extracted from La Rinconada, a heavy price is paid in contaminated water, toxic air, and broken bodies. In the Peruvian Andes, a glacier is dying. This is the story of its murder. La Rinconada, the world's highest city, has become an engine of environmental destruction, unleashing streams of poison into a fragile alpine ecosystem. The quest for gold has left an irreversible scar on the planet. The degradation begins with the mining process itself. Water, laced with mercury and cyanide, is discharged directly onto the ice, forming toxic rivers that shimmer with heavy metals. These streams carve through the glacier, carrying their lethal payload downstream. This is the city's circulatory system, and its lifeblood is poison. But the pollution doesn't stop there. The glacier has become a landfill at 500 meters. Decades of garbage and industrial waste are frozen into its surface, a suspended layer of decay. Towering over the city are mountains of tailings, discarded ore that leaches acid into the watershed with every rainfall, sterilizing the ground it touches. What happens in La Rinconada doesn't stay in La Rinconada. These toxic streams flow down from the mountains, poisoning rivers and lakes that communities hundreds of kilometers away depend on. This is not just a local disaster, it is a catastrophic failure of environmental stewardship, creating a toxic legacy that will long outlast the gold it produced. In the heart of Pennsylvania, coal country lies a modern-day ghost town. It has no population, no buildings, and a fire that has been burning for over 60 years. This is Centralia. In 1962, it was a peaceful, ordinary town of over 1,000 people. But on Memorial Day weekend, a single decision changed its fate forever. Firefighters, intending to clean up the local landfill, set a controlled fire. Unknowingly, they ignited a fire in an abandoned coal mine directly beneath the pit. The flames latched onto a rich vein of anthracite coal, one of the largest in the world. For years, the danger was invisible, a silent monster growing beneath their feet. Then the ground began to betray them. Steam and deadly carbon monoxide vented into basements. The earth grew hot to the touch and sinkholes began to appear without warning. In 1981, the ground famously collapsed beneath a young boy, nearly swallowing him into a steaming abyss. The government finally admitted defeat. It was impossible to extinguish a fire so vast. In the 1980s, Congress allocated over $40 million to relocate the residents. Houses were demolished, streets were abandoned, and the town's zip code was erased. Today, Centralia is a grid of empty streets being reclaimed by nature. But the fire still rages beneath, a subterranean inferno estimated to have enough fuel to burn for another 250 years. It is a haunting reminder of a community erased by a fire that will not die. Before it was a ghost town, it was just town home, a place of block parties, unlocked doors, and shared lives, built on a foundation of Pennsylvania coal. But that foundation became its curse. When the fire started, no one believed it. It was a phantom menace. But then the headaches began, the strange smells, the birds that fell from the sky. The ground itself, once solid and dependable, turned against them. It grew hot, cracked open, and vented poison into their homes. The fire didn't just burn the coal, it burned through friendships. It forced an impossible choice. Do you accept a government check and walk away from everything you've ever known? Or do you stay and fight for a home that is actively trying to kill you? For many, the decision was made for them the day the earth opened up and nearly swallowed a 12-year-old boy. That's when the exodus began. House by house, family by family, Centralia was unmade. They left behind their homes, their memories, and their neighbors who refused to yield. The story of Centralia isn't about a fire under a town. It's about the heartbreak of a community torn apart, and the stubborn few who chose to live on the edge of a quiet, slow-burning apocalypse. When the world tells you to leave, what makes you stay? In Centralia, Pennsylvania, the government offered money, the ground offered poison, and the future offered nothing. Nearly everyone left, but a few did not. This is their story. This isn't a story about a fire, it's a story about the unyielding nature of home. For the handful of residents who refused to be bought out, Centralia was not a disaster zone. It was their inheritance, their sanctuary, the place where their memories were forged. They saw the government's relocation plan not as a rescue, but as an eviction. So they adapted. They learned to live with the fire beneath their feet. They installed carbon monoxide detectors as casually as other people install smoke alarms. They learned which parts of the ground to trust and which to avoid. They kept their homes pristine, their lawns mowed, and their traditions alive. They fought for their right to exist, taking their case to court and declaring their fierce independence. While the world saw a ghost town, they saw a neighborhood, a quiet, resilient community of a few, bound by a shared refusal to be erased. The fire may burn for centuries, but the spirit of the people who chose to call it home proved to be something even more eternal. It was billed as a dream city of the future, a $100 billion metropolis rising from the sea on 4 artificial islands in Malaysia, right next to Singapore. This was Forest City, the most ambitious real estate project on Earth. Launched in 2016 by Chinese developer Country Garden, it promised a smart green paradise for nearly 1 million people. With lush vertical gardens, cutting-edge technology, and no cars on the surface, it was designed to attract China's burgeoning middle class looking for a tropical home abroad. The scale was breathtaking, and construction moved at a stunning pace. But the dream quickly soured. China imposed strict capital controls, preventing potential buyers from getting their money out of the country. Political sentiment in Malaysia turned against the massive foreign-led project. Concerns grew about its environmental impact and its isolated location. The buyers never came. Today, Forest City is a modern ghost town. It is a vast collection of empty towers and deserted streets. Only a tiny fraction of its projected population actually lives there. Gleaming malls stand vacant, and an eerie silence hangs over the man-made beaches and parks. Forest City stands as a colossal cautionary tale, a monument to spectacular ambition that has become a near $100 billion ghost city. Before it was Forest City, it was a thriving marine ecosystem. The Pulai River estuary was home to Malaysia's largest seagrass habitat, a vital nursery for fish, and a feeding ground for endangered dugongs and seahorses. But the dream of a futuristic eco-city came at a devastating environmental price. To build 4 artificial islands, developers launched one of the largest land reclamation projects in history. Huge dredgers began tearing up the seabed, dumping over 160 million cubic meters of sand onto the seagrass meadows. This massive operation clouded the waters, blocking the sunlight that the seagrass needed to survive. What the dredgers didn't dig up, the sediment smothered. The impact was catastrophic. An estimated 250 hectares of vital seagrass were wiped out. Local fishermen, who had relied on these waters for generations, saw their catches plummet by over 70%. The coastline of nearby villages began to erode as the project permanently altered the ocean currents. Forest City was marketed as a green paradise, a pinnacle of sustainable design. Yet beneath the surface of this promise lies a story of profound environmental destruction. It is a stark reminder that a city can have green walls and still be built on the grave of a priceless natural habitat. The true cost of this empty city is written on the barren seafloor. For generations, the people of Kampung Pok lived in rhythm with the tides. Their lives were woven into the vast seagrass meadows of the Pulai estuary, a nursery for the fish that filled their nets and fed their families. This was not just a fishing ground, it was their heritage, Then the sand ships came. To build the futuristic forest city, the seabed itself was dredged and moved. The clear waters turned to mud, and a thick blanket of sediment choked the life from the seagrass below. The ecosystem collapsed. For the local fishermen, the change was not gradual. It was a sudden death. Their catches dropped by more than 70% almost overnight. Nets that once came up heavy with fish and crab now came up full of silt. The seahorses, the dugongs, the turtles, they all disappeared along with the seagrass. Today, a multi-billion-dollar city of empty towers stands on the horizon, a silent testament to a broken dream. For the community in its shadow, that dream was a nightmare. It cost them their livelihood, their culture, and a precious marine world that is now lost forever. They were promised progress, but were left with empty nets and a barren sea. Once it was the jewel of Argentina, a bustling spa town known as Villa Epecuén. Thousands came every year to float in its magical salt lake, 10 times saltier than the ocean, believing it could cure their ailments. For decades, it was a place of life, laughter, and healing. Then in November 1985, the lake that gave the town its life came to claim it. A rare and powerful storm caused the lagoon to swell, and an earthen dam built to protect the town finally broke. The water didn't crash down. It crept in slowly and unstoppably. Residents had hours to flee, but they had to leave everything behind. Within days, their homes and memories were submerged beneath 10 meters of corrosive saltwater. For a quarter of a century, Villa Epecuén was Argentina's Atlantis, a ghost town at the bottom of a lake. But as the climate shifted and the waters began to recede, something incredible happened. The town began to re-emerge. What came back was not the vibrant resort of the past, but a haunting post-apocalyptic landscape. A ghost city of skeletal trees and crumbling buildings, all petrified in a thick white crust of salt. One man, Pablo Novak, is the town's only returning resident. Now in his 90s, he walks the silent streets, a lone king in a kingdom of salt, the last living memory of the town that drowned and was born again. It was a town built on a miracle. Villa Epecuén, Argentina, where the lake was so salty you could float and the water was said to heal. For 70 years, it was a paradise of sun-drenched promenades and grand hotels, a place where memories were made. But the same water that gave life delivered a verdict. In 1985, a relentless storm turned the miracle into a monster. The lake swelled and swallowed the town whole. In a matter of days, paradise was submerged, locked away beneath 10 meters of corrosive saltwater, and silenced for a generation. Then, after 25 years, the waters began to retreat. But they did not give back what they had taken. They revealed a transformation. The town that re-emerged was not a town of people, but a kingdom of salt. Buildings, cars, and ancient trees were petrified, reborn as ghostly white sculptures. This is the story of a place that lived, died, and was transformed. From a vibrant tourist haven to haunting salt ruins, Villa Epecuén is a breathtaking testament to the power of nature and a memory kept alive by the one man who still calls it home. Once there was sound, the sound of laughter, of music drifting from hotel balconies, of splashing in a lake so magical it wouldn't let you sink. This was Villa Epecuén, a town alive with color and vibrant with people who came from all over the world to experience its healing waters. Streets were filled with families, and the shore was a tapestry of life. Now there is silence, a silence broken only by the wind whistling through skeletal trees. The vibrant town is gone. In its place is a ghost city, painted in a single color, the stark, brilliant white of salt. The bustling promenade is a cracked, empty plain. The grand hotels are hollowed-out bones. In 1985, the water that gave the town its life rose up and consumed it, hiding it from the world for 25 years. When it finally receded, it revealed this stunning, haunting transformation. It didn't just empty the town, it remade it. From a place of joyful life to a silent world of salt, Villa Epecuén stands as a breathtaking monument to the contrast between what was and what remains.